Hey, welcome to Film versus Movie, the podcast where we debate the cinema you hate. I'm your co-host, Belton Delane Facey.
And my name's Chris Scher.
And on this podcast, we watch the films that have been slandered, desecrated, and shot in Crime Alley by public opinion. And one of us tells you why it's actually pretty good.
And the other one's going to tell you why it's a steaming pile of shit.
And today, we discuss, I want to say his masterpiece. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but one of Zack Snyder's important DC films, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Batman vs. Superman would have been a much better name. Dawn of Justice. I know it's like Dawn of the Justice League, but it's a little too corny even for a Batman movie.
Yeah, I mean, the whole title to me feels like something an executive came up with, and then they were like, okay, now make this into a movie. I think the Dawn of Justice is only because at some point, not the beginning, but at some point when they were developing the script, they were like, hey, let's set up the Justice League. And so they had to let people know they're doing that.
Oh, really? I kind of have the opinion that they're like, we need to set up the Justice League. How can we do that? It doesn't seem like we can do that in just a Justice League movie. And they're like, oh, okay, so what would be cool? Like, what's this sort of like jump off point? And they're like, what if Batman and Superman met each other? And they were at odds. And they're like, okay, that seems kind of interesting enough where we can like build enough of a plot and then just like basically they're building plot around the pathways towards the Justice League movie.
I felt different. I felt like, okay, this was a Batman vs. Superman movie. And then someone was like, you have to put in like Justice League Easter eggs in there. And they just went, fine.
Okay. I feel like Wonder Woman had a weird amount of time in the movie.
Yeah.
It did seem kind of like she was added last minute.
I mean, I have other thoughts on that. We can get into it later. Yeah. So getting into the plot of the film, we open on Bruce Wayne at his parents' funeral. He runs away, falls into this pit of bats, and the bats just lift him up like Jesus-like because Zack Snyder loves his Jesus references.
Yeah, he literally exits the cave on a swirl of bats.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's literally framed as if the bats lift him into heaven.
I like that the rest of the movie is like fairly grounded. But like they're like, no, Bat Jesus is gonna be lifted out of the cave into the heavens.
Yeah, because this immediately cuts to the title sequence, which is just slow motion of his parents getting murdered for the umpteenth time. Like, like that was one thing I remember watching this movie for the first time. They came in on the scene of the funeral. I remember thinking, okay, at least we don't have to watch his parents get murdered again. And then it cuts to his parents getting murdered again.
Yeah, I think at this point, I never want to see that part of an intro, of a superhero intro ever again. Like, I don't want to see Aunt May getting murdered.
You mean Uncle Ben?
Uncle Ben. I thought Aunt May also gets murdered.
Uncle Ben gets murdered.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to see Uncle Ben get murdered. I don't even want to see him develop his powers. We know he gets bit by a spider. The only person that it needed to be different for was Miles Morales in Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was one thing like I appreciate about the MCU Spider-Man. They were very much like, you know who Spider-Man is. Let's get to good stuff.
This is the 9th Spider-Man movie in a decade. Like,
yeah. Okay. So now after the title sequence, it cuts to Bruce Wayne in the middle of Superman's battle with General Zod that happened in the previous film Man of Steel. That just tears up Metropolis. Bruce Wayne is going through the city trying to like save a lot of his employees that work there, but he fails to save many of them, and so that starts him being distrustful of Superman. Now, 18 months later, there's a scene of a well-established Batman taking out criminals. The police don't catch him. Clark Kent, the reporter, wants to investigate Batman in in Gotham over concern of his form of justice, which he condemns because in this universe, Batman doesn't only take guys out, he brands them with a bat symbol, which just gets them beat up and murdered in prison.
Doesn't he also kill people? Like he was shooting people in the face.
And that was a weird thing because Batman's pretty famous for his no-kill rule. In this movie, I know a lot of people have commented that in other live-action Batman movies, he seems to like not care if people die. In this movie, he racks up a body count.
Yeah,
like usually he'll be like, "I won't kill you. Maybe medical bills will." This movie, he straight up uses guns on people. Yeah. So after that, we cut to Lex Luthor. He tries to persuade a senator to let him import kryptonite, which he believes can weaken Kryptonians, including Superman. And that was discovered in the Indian Ocean during the events of Man of Steel. The senator says no. However, her assistant gives him access to General Zod's corpse and ship. So then Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent attend a LexCorp gala. Bruce is there to try like get information on LexCorp and hack into his files. And as he tries to steal encrypted files, he is intercepted by a mysterious woman, Diana Prince.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that was when me and Belton watched this together, and Belton was like, "Yeah, that's Gal Gadot," and I was like, "What?"
Okay,
I thought it was going to be Catwoman.
Okay, here's the thing. Up until that point of the movie, there's absolutely nothing to imply she's Wonder Woman, which is the point. I assumed you know, considering we watched a Wonder Woman movie for this podcast.
I just put that out of my mind. The only thing I remember from Wonder Woman 1984 is Pedro Pascal just coming up with the craziest fucking system ever. I wish I was the wishing stone. Like, genius. I'm sorry. Okay.
All right. So after this event, Batman finds out LexCorp is having a secret delivery brought to him. He isn't quite sure what it is, but he knows it's bad. So he tries to intercept it and break it up, but Superman stops him. Then they have this like weird confrontation where nothing really happens except quotes for the trailer. That's all I can.
Yeah. What is Superman? Superman's like, "I better not see you out here."
Yeah, Superman just goes, the next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go for it. And then Batman's like, "Tell me, do you bleed?" and then Superman flies off. He's like, "You will." Like that's all that happens between them. It's just like a mini dick measuring contest. So Bruce Wayne runs into Diana Prince. Later, she gives him the files saying she can't decrypt them. It's and so he brings them back to the Batcave to decrypt. While that's happening, he has this dream where he's leading a rebel group against Superman, and like Superman has his own soldiers that take him out. The dream ends with Superman killing other of his men, unmasking Batman. He wakes up to a character DC fans will recognize as the Flash, coming back in time to warn him about Superman and that Lois is the key. And it turns out that's also a dream. Which like that's a moment that feels shoehorned in there.
That doesn't come back in Justice League.
In Justice League, the Snyder Cut, it slightly does, but the fact it's a dream just makes it not make sense.
Okay, yeah. I thought that was actually the Flash coming back. I didn't realize that was a second dream.
I mean, if it was actually the Flash coming back, it would make a bit more sense, but the way they cut it together, it's framed as a second dream. And so after he decrypts the files reveals the discovery of more humans, and which includes a World War I picture of Diana in her full Wonder Woman costume, it also contains that Lex Luthor's delivery was kryptonite, which based on tests can harm Kryptonians and is their chance at defeating Superman. And now, I guess important to mention, this whole time there's a huge public debate as to whether Superman should stand trial for something that happened at the beginning of the movie. Basically, he saved Lois Lane from terrorists, but then after mercenaries came in and killed a bunch of people there. So there's a huge public debate on whether he should stand trial for that, where he can actually be trusted because he's an alien. We don't know if he has a secret agenda. So Superman shows up to this congressional hearing to stand trial. However, Lex Luthor planted a bomb at that hearing and detonates it. So Superman publicly takes the blame. And then Batman steals kryptonite from Lex Luthor, builds an armor suit with kryptonite weapons to fight Superman, does this dramatic thing where he unveils the bat signal to bring Superman over. Lex then lures Superman by tossing Lois off a building, knowing he'll save her. But Lex has also discovered he's Clark Kent and has kidnapped his mother and says he'll kill her unless he kills Batman. So then he goes to Batman. They get into a battle because Batman is very shoot first, ask questions later. Superman then just forgets he's there to talk to Batman, just starts punching back. So in the ensuing battle, Batman is close to killing Superman with a kryptonite spear until Superman finally says the famous line, "Save Martha," and that gets Batman to stop. Lois then comes in and explains like, "Oh, that's his mother," and the whole situation. Then they come to a truce. Batman goes to rescue Martha Kent. Superman confronts Lex at General Zod's ship. However, Lex set up this whole thing to create a new Kryptonian monster, Doomsday. So
I thought it was Apocalypse.
No, that was Doomsday.
I mixed it up in my head. Apocalypse is Marvel.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So they fight Doomsday. Diane Prince comes in to help as Wonder Woman. In the battle, Superman grabs the kryptonite spear to stab and kill Doomsday. However, he dies in the process. Lex goes to jail. At Clark Kent's funeral, Bruce and Diana agree to recruit other humans to protect the Earth from future threats.
And then there's like a weird dust speck that moves on Superman's.
Yeah, because I mean, that's obviously to tease Justice League, but I feel like the filmmakers have to know no one's gonna believe Superman's dead for good.
Could you imagine if they just killed Superman after 2 movies but carried on with the DC extended universe? They're just like, yeah, we fucking hated this character.
yeah, it's like one of the most famous characters in all of fiction. It's just like, yeah, we don't really know what to do with him.
Get ready for Plastic Man and Black Adam.
All right, so yeah, as mentioned, like this movie is a sequel to 2013's Man of Steel, which was a Superman standalone movie starring Henry Cavill and also directed by Zack Snyder. But the idea of making a Superman Batman movie was apparently floating around within Warner Bros. In the early 2000s, during a 2008 interview with Wall Street Journal, the then Warner Bros. Head of production admitted they would have made it if the film Superman Returns worked. They would that would have been their setup for Batman vs Superman, but a lot of people did not like that movie. So when Man of Steel came out in June 2013. A Batman vs Superman movie was announced the next month at Comic-Con. And in an interview with Forbes, Zack Snyder has said the idea of Superman fighting Batman didn't come to them until they were brainstorming sequel ideas and figured, hey, we need someone for Superman to fight that would get people more excited than General Zod, who was the villain in Man of Steel.
I've never fucking heard of, like, I have heard of General Zod before. Who was that excited for General Zod? How many Zod heads are there out there?
I mean, I think the idea was everyone just watched a movie where Superman went up against someone who was just as powerful as him. So it was this huge battle that in that world destroyed downtown Metropolis. So it's like when you have a sequel, you need to up the ante. Yeah.
I just feel like Lex Luthor is the historic Superman villain that everyone would know of.
Oh yeah.
I don't think anyone got excited for General Zod. It was just like a cool hero.
Yeah, but I feel like the thing with Lex Luthor isn't necessarily known for physically fighting Superman one-on-one.
Yeah, I like that. Like, give me a scheme.
Yeah.
I want to watch big, dumb, corn husk Superman try and figure out a very basic con.
Yeah, and I mean, I just this is more of a personal answer though, but I feel like from what I remember, like watching everything unfold through the marketing and reports, this felt like a movie where it's like executives came up with the title, and then they were like, "Oh, you need to plan a movie around this," because it did seem like DC was just desperate to catch up to Marvel at the time.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember being like, "Oh, fucking dumpy DCEU."
Yeah,
and trying to do what Marvel did.
Yeah, because I mean, keep in mind, Man of Steel came out a year after the first Avengers movie, so now Marvel is full steam ahead, and everyone kind of views DC as the next competitor to them. Yeah, which because I mean, after this, as mentioned before, this movie has a lot of stuff for Justice League, but a few months after this movie comes out, they come out with Suicide Squad. So it was like they started planning stuff, like including a standalone Wonder Woman movie well before this movie came out. So it was like they were not waiting. They wanted their own thing to stand up to Marvel.
Yeah. Wait, when did Aquaman come out?
Aquaman came out late. The Aquaman came out after Justice League, so
but they already had Jason Momoa picked out.
Yeah.
Who was the other one? They showed like it was Jason Momoa,
Ezra Miller as Flash,
yeah.
And then Ray Fisher as Cyborg.
Yeah, I don't know that character.
Cyborg?
No.
From Teen Titans?
I never watched Teen Titans. Our producer just gasped from behind the curtain.
Yeah, do you not have cable growing up?
I was a Nickelodeon person.
But there are exceptions.
And then like once I aged out of SpongeBob and stuff, I was watching like 1 hour CBS and NBC dramas. Like we watched House as a family and Bones.
Oh, so
and then I would watch like 30-minute sitcoms. So I just like kind of jumped the Teen Titans era. Belton's giving me a look.
Yeah, I just don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah.
Okay, continuing. So yeah, as mentioned before, this film was directed by Zack Snyder, who like publicly seemed to have been given the reins in constructing the whole DC extended universe. This was written by two credited writers, David S. Goyer, who worked on a whole lot of stuff for DC, including The Dark Knight, Man of Steel, as well as the shows Constantine and Krypton. And the other writer was Chris Terrio, who also worked on Argo, as well as Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
What's Constantine and Krypton?
Constantine is another DC character who deals with like magic and underworld stuff. Krypton was a show that was about Krypton, where Superman came from.
Were they good?
I have not seen them myself.
Okay.
Yeah. So one thing that was interesting about the release of this, and this goes back to like DC trying to catch up to Marvel. So the initial release date for this movie was announced for July 17th, 2015. It was pushed back to May 2016. However, after that, Marvel announces a third Captain America movie will also be coming out May 6, 2016. So it created this whole game of chicken that Warner Bros. And DC lost because they moved the release up to March 25th, 2016.
Yeah, that was Civil War. They're gonna lose. They're gonna get smoked.
Yeah, because I think the big difference is like Marvel was pretty confident that that movie was going to do well. DC needed this movie to do well.
Yeah. Did it do well?
Yeah, it did well on a $250 million budget. It made $874 million at the box office. It was not praised by critics. It currently stands at 28% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.4 on IMDb. It got 8 Razzie nominations, including 4 wins for Worst Screenplay, Worst Supporting Actor for Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, Worst Screen Combo, and Worst Remake Sequel Ripoff.
Okay, what's wrong with me, Belton? Because I did not think it was that bad of a movie. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's the greatest movie in the world, but like, what the fuck? That was a pretty entertaining movie. There's parts where I'm like, okay, this is a little self-indulgent, but I was like, okay, it functions as a movie enough to get it to like a 55% Rotten Tomatoes score. I know you can't take those too literally, but 28 is pretty goddamn outrageous.
I mean,
okay, well let's get into
it. No, yeah, all right, yeah, let's get into it. Now it's time for our opening statements. In case you didn't figure it out, I will be attacking this movie. Chris will be defending. Would you like to start?
Sure. Batman vs. Superman is a solid superhero movie all around. The plot is decent and the action is well done. I think Snyder's darker take on Superman and Batman succeeds.
If you came in expecting to see 2 iconic characters fight it out, this movie was a roller coaster in the sense you waited with nothing to entertain you for almost 2 hours for 3 minutes of action. It was very brave of Warner Bros. Executives to take a director who can barely handle one story and give him a list of demands to desperately set up a whole cinematic universe. The best thing this film does is set proper expectations for the disaster the rest of the DCEU would become. So one thing I want to say off the top, I know a lot of something that's commonly said among fans of Zack Snyder is, you know, the ultimate edition of this movie does fix things, or at least some of the issues with the theatrical cut. Chris and I only watched the theatrical cut together, so that's what we'll be talking about. I did watch the Ultimate Edition on my own. I agree, it's going to address some of the problems I will talk about, but I'm going to assume you haven't, so you can't even counter those arguments.
You can still make them. I don't know. I've liked a lot of the shit in here. Wait, how much longer was it?
Like a half hour.
Yes, it was 3 hours. What did they add to it?
Honestly, the main stuff they added was more on like the Superman side. Like they did add like more justification for why Superman does is just against Batman, which like that does go into like one major complaint I had, is just that like Zack Snyder seems to just not really understand Superman in terms of like how he is as a character, or even like the character he set up in the previous movie. Because like sure, you could have a darker Superman, but when when the film is Batman versus Superman and Batman's already a dark character, you need a really stark contrast, which is why it would make more sense to make Superman very hopeful.
Yeah, like with the knowledge of the kind of the lore and everything, I think it does a decent job of humanizing Superman in the sense that, like, here you have this person who just destroyed an entire city, even if it was for the right reasons, annihilated the city with all this, uh, the like collateral damage. And I think Batman is a reflection of what Superman is afraid that he's becoming, which is a very human take. And I kind of liked it for this movie. How much they succeed in doing that, I don't really know. But I thought the idea was interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is like like Superman and Clark Kent. He doesn't even seem to disagree with the idea that like Batman's taking criminals off the street. He disagrees with like the impact Batman has, which is something that was just made up for the movie. It doesn't have to be that way. But you would think like someone who's actually hopeful or like tries to see good in people might see Batman as more of a reflection in terms of like someone who's trying to do good but doesn't necessarily have the impact they want. And to me, like it feels like it makes more sense for Superman to like try to want to understand Batman, and then you have the contrast of Batman is like, I would rather kill you.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. So like Superman's whole thing is the fact that he's the strongest person, and yet every single day he holds back all the negative emotions that would let him commit cruelty against the world.
Not even to hold them back. He's sort of like the counterpart to Steve Rogers, where it's like he's genuinely a good person and wants the best for everyone he interacts with. So he sees his powers as just a way to embody that. Like the same way if you gave the Captain America serum to someone who was like half corrupt or like half a bad person, they would just become a worse person. Superman is just a pure-hearted good person, so his powers just make him a better person.
Is that what they set up in Man of Steel?
Not somewhat. Like Man of Steel, I would say for the most part follows that along. The big like controversial thing at the ending is he takes down Zod by killing him and snapping his neck, which seems out of character for Superman. But part of that is like the lesson for that seems to come from that, I would think, is hey, sometimes in order to do good and what's right, you may have to do things you don't view as moral, which is why it's even weirder that he sees Batman do like something he doesn't view as moral and just assumes he's the worst person.
Yeah. I don't know. I still stand by my opinion that, like, I think this is a good portrayal of how people lose themselves to trauma. You have the expected representation, lore accurate depictions of Superman and Batman, and they both experience things that they wouldn't necessarily do. So, like, Batman experienced being very powerless, very scared, unable to save people. Superman had to experience killing people, not being able to stand by his own ideals. And so this movie kind of represents at the beginning the flux of these two characters as they slowly move back towards where they're supposed to be. Batman's objectively a good person, but is willing to do bad things in order to make that happen. And Superman is objectively a good person and he just won't do bad things.
Okay, with that, like I agree on the Batman side of the story. I do think this movie is a better Batman story than Superman story, especially because they set up like Bruce Wayne's viewpoint a lot better. Because I think like him being in the middle of the whole battle in Metropolis from the first movie really sets up his view of Superman super well. I think from the audience perspective, we understand why he distrusts Superman, why he feels he's a threat, and I think like the ending, while not executed the best, I understand the whole Martha moment is it draws in like something he didn't realize that like oh he the human lost his humanity and Superman the alien is the one who still has it, and like I think that story arc makes sense and is constructed well. I just don't think for Superman they established that very well at the beginning.
Okay, yeah, admittedly, I am taking a few leaps and assumptions based on like I'm making a lot of assumptions for what Zack Snyder meant to do. And I think it works. I kind of think that he tried to do it and it worked well enough that it came through. But you're saying
Yeah, no, because
it did not come through.
No.
You're just creating that there
Yeah.
wasn't enough evidence.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing is, there wasn't something that really established Superman's worldview other than him seeing a news report of the dark of Batman and being like, "Oh, that guy's bad." Like that's not something he really experiences. That's something he just kind of reacts to, and then like a problem I have with the general story is that like the movie's kind of one giant first act because like even when we have these established viewpoints, the characters don't go through anything that challenges their viewpoints and causes them to reflect until Batman realizes, oh, he's about to murder someone's son.
Yeah.
And because I mean, throughout this story, there's nothing to really change Batman's mind of Superman. Superman is just a threat to humanity, and there's nothing to change Superman's mind of Batman is an awful person. Because what's intended as the midpoint of this is the Senate hearing where a bomb goes off, but that just reaffirms Batman's view that okay, I need to do what I can to take out Superman.
Yeah. The other thing that I think the part that I made some assumptions and I think it works to an extent of why I understand why Superman wanted to go after Batman is because right at the same time that Batman starts showing up and they're like, look at this vigilante, he's doing good work, he's getting criminals off the street. Superman starts to get negative criticism in the press. It's just like, I don't know. I like this portrayal of Superman as someone who is not used to bad press. But I also never saw Man of Steel, so I didn't see how he was treated in the press in the first one.
I mean, the thing is, the first movie, he doesn't really have to deal with the press because it's an origin story. Like the public doesn't know Superman exists until like the last act of the film.
Oh, okay. So he's not doing like your friendly Superman kind of stuff where he's saving puppies and shit.
No, his introduction to the world is a battle with Zod that destroys downtown Metropolis.
Yeah, that's. Did he know he had powers?
Yeah, he knew he had powers.
Okay.
Yeah, he just kept it hidden, which is a whole other thing. But I still think like they, because the thing is, I feel like when you have, they're trying to do this dual protagonist movie, but I feel like you need more contrast between your protagonists because because like the thing is, they both have this black and white view of justice, which you would expect Superman to have more nuance, and then like even though there could have been more done with like coloring and camera work, where it's like Gotham's supposed to be dark and gritty. You can make Metropolis much more bright and shiny, but Zack Snyder just puts everything through like the same Instagram filter, so it looks dark and gritty.
Yeah, that's true. Metropolis looked kind of washed out.
Yeah, and the thing is, there's also a big difference between how they use their secret identities, because Bruce Wayne is really just Batman on the inside 24/7. It's something that like Bruce Wayne is the actual mask that he uses in public, as opposed to Superman, where it's like Clark Kent's a different person. Like as much as like people like to make fun of the idea that just having glasses hides his secret identity, it works because like anyone who just knows Clark Kent would think it's so ridiculous that he's Superman. Like, not to throw our producer on under the bus or take shots at him, but like Maxim could be like a superhero that just fights powerful aliens. Neither one of us would suspect it, because to us he's a vegan anime nerd who likes to go bouldering.
Okay, I've got to ask, does that mean that if I were like, oh yeah, I'm actually Superman out fighting crime, you're like, that actually is kind of reasonable? You're not a nerd. You do watch anime, but like you like the shonens.
It will explain why you're late to stuff.
Okay. I like Mark Zuckerberg, Lex Luthor. I think you could have made him Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg, and I think either would have worked well. But we have a lot of Lex Luthor, Jeff Bezoses, and we need like the dweeby fucking guy, because that's who I kind of picture currently as like nasty business villain.
Yeah. My thing with Lex Luthor is they clearly tried to make him more how we understand a modern tech billionaire, which I think is a good idea and would add variation to like all the Lex Luthors we know. I think the one thing that's missing is Lex Luthor also understands presentation. He like, this is a character who in many storylines ends up becoming president. So he knows how to present himself when he needs to, and that's something that was just missing from this. Like
yeah, he is pretty garbage at. He never really comes off as that impressive.
Yeah, because I mean, it's something where it's like at his own event where he's talking to like all these other billionaires and senators and major news reporters. He's up there just like clearly didn't write a speech, not caring what he says. It's just like, no, let him be influential and powerful. Like because imagine like, oh, what they want as Lex Luthor is sort of like if Steve Jobs went into politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like, because like if you ever heard stories with Elizabeth Holmes, it's like so many people that were around her was just like, oh, she just drew so much energy to a room. It's like this was a person you felt you couldn't say no to, but then you see her interviews, it's just like, how she's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, I don't really get how anybody fell for it.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing. I think that would have been an interesting layer to Lex Luthor if he just knew when to turn things on and off, and instead, like, I felt like it somewhat attempts where it's just this like Snyderism dialogue where it feels like, oh, he's trying to pass a sophomore English class.
I think they could have done a pretty cool kind of like, if they wanted to flip it, like truly wanted to flip it, they could have done like a Usual Suspects type thing where he's Lex Luthor Jr. and he comes off as this very unimpressive guy. But then every time he's behind closed door, he just like loses the limp and turns into like what you would expect Luthor to be like.
Yeah. like it.
A bit more social engineering.
Yeah, like a cool idea would have been like, oh, if we were introduced to Lex Luthor and saw him solely through other people's point of view, because like we have the Senator, we have Bruce Wayne and like Clark Kent at the gala. If we solely saw him through other people's eyes, and then we learn like, oh, he actually had this devious mastermind plan the whole time. It's just like that would have been a great twist.
Yeah. Although, as soon as Lex Luthor is in a Superman movie, you're like, okay, he's gonna be a villain.
Yeah, but
it would be a little. The twist would actually be if you get to the end of the movie and he doesn't have a plot.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like, well, number one, I think Jesse Eisenberg's casting was like criticized from the moment it happens. So I think if they did a twist like that, being aware it's like everyone's gonna fucking hate this, it would have been like really good self-awareness, because obviously a big movie like this with iconic characters, people are coming in with expectations. But also I feel like Lex Luthor's plan is just until a certain point, it's a whole lot of stuff that just coincidentally works. Like he doesn't have a huge reason to suspect kryptonite is gonna like do damage until he has it. But that's how he pitches it. There's a moment where he's in Zod's ship and he wants to use Zod's corpse to create Doomsday. The ship is literally like, hey, the Kryptonian council made this illegal. And he's like, well, they're dead, so do it anyway, and that works. Like it's something like that where it's like certain things just shouldn't work, and it feels insulting to the audience that should. I know we're already suspending our disbelief with Superman existing, but like we gotta follow some train of logic.
I agree with that. That was pretty stupid. The line was a little funny, but it was a stupid reason to drive the plot forward.
Yeah, I will say, like, after Batman steals the kryptonite and then he starts plotting, it's like, okay, I'll just have Batman fight Superman since one of them's gonna destroy each other. Like, that was smart. That feels like a Lex Luthor plan.
Yeah. Hang on, I've actually got something positive to say about Gal Gadot. Oh wait, no, I'm not gonna get there first. Ben Affleck's Batman feels perfectly deranged. I fucking love Ben Affleck in this character role. He has the sensibilities of a divorced dad who only sees his kids on the weekend and is furious about it.
Yeah, no, I do agree. It's like they clearly went for an older, weathered Batman, which I think works in this movie, especially considering we have a young Superman that we just saw become Superman in the previous movie. However, it's like considering this movie does expect us to just be familiar with these characters going in, it's like the no kill rule, like not having that as something that's kind of well established as part of Batman's character is really weird, and they don't provide an explanation for that, even though they like waste all these times and shots to establish all these like universe building things, like having him wasting time to have him gaze upon a Robin suit that's been defiled by the Joker, or like going through a whole sequence to set up the idea of other meta humans, and Flash comes back and warns him. It's like just something to be like, yeah, we know we're stepping away from the established continuity and character. Here's why.
Okay, yeah. Maybe like a little, he's like, no kill rule. I never had a no kill rule.
Yeah.
I had a no pill rule. I don't take pills anymore. That's when I killed my first guy.
Yeah, no, because I do think if he started the movie like killing people and then like having the moment with Batman where where like, oh, he realizes he's lost his humanity, and that's when he's like, okay, I have to just stop killing people. Like I'm racking up scores in a video game.
Yeah.
Like I think that would make sense. However, after that moment, we go to the warehouse fight scene where he probably racks up the highest body count in the film. Like granted, it was shot and choreographed really well, but that felt like out of a John Wick movie.
Yeah, I liked it. I don't know. Like, I'm just digging it. I think the reason I like this movie is I am not attached to a single DC character. I don't even like Batman. Here's what happened. In high school, The Dark Knight came out, and it was great. Like, The Dark Knight, spectacular movie. It was so spectacular, though, that it became the go-to movie to put on in front of kids. So I've seen The Dark Knight probably like 145 times, and I liked it maybe 8. I just got so tired of it. It's so indulgent. And then the third one came out, and I think that movie is a piece of shit. I'm not going to lie. The Dark Knight Rises? Yeah. Wait, no.
Yeah, it's The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, I hate that movie. I hate it with a burning passion. I think it's so boring. So watching this movie, I'm just kind of like, yeah, these are more interesting characters. Like, I'm not upset that they're changing things because I never really liked the characters that much to begin with. Which, yeah, maybe don't listen to my opinion about this movie.
I mean, I think like one thing with this is like, obviously one of the purposes of this movie is to set up the larger DC universe. If Batman doesn't have a no-kill rule, then his relationship with the Joker just makes no sense. Because if Batman's going to kill anybody, it's going to be the Joker, especially if we're in a world where the Joker has already killed a Robin, which the shot with the Robin suit implies.
Is the Joker was in Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Oh, so he is in this universe.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a Harley Quinn-esque where the Batman can't kill the Joker and the Joker can't kill Batman because they're such flawed individuals that they'd lose their will to live. They just live to antagonize each other.
I mean, see, but that just makes Batman a wuss though, because here's the thing, like there are conversations among like Batman and comic book fans on whether or not it's actually ethical for him to not kill the Joker, because the whole thing with the Joker is the Joker likes to do all these things and Batman to stop him because he knows Batman's never going to kill him, but they both know this whole thing only ends when one of them is dead. So like a lot of people are like, yeah, now it's actually kind of unethical for Batman to not kill the Joker knowing this, because the Joker is going to keep killing so many more people.
It's because the Joker completes him. Batman is a masochist, and he's just like lonely and completely incapable of building a life that he needs. So instead he puts on tights and a shirt and goes out and punches a clown over and over again and keeps locking him in the same asylum that he keeps escaping from. You'd think they would just keep building new ones. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not that attached to these characters, so I kind of like the changes in their portrayal. Because it's refreshing after watching like so many Batmans who just feel like, oh, I'm dark and I'm brooding, and I'm gonna impart justice, and it's ultimately gonna cost me everything. Like, I'm just tired of seeing that Batman over and over again. I didn't like the Robert Pattinson Batman movie.
To me, Robert Pattinson, like if I were making a Batman movie, that's along the lines of how I would portray him. Because to me, he's just a traumatized child who never got therapy.
Yeah, but
yeah, and I guess like one last thing I will say, and it's like this ends up being a bit of a problem with like more DCEU films. Like this film forgets Superman has other powers. Like you can do stuff instead of just turning him into a blunt hitting object. All because also I feel like this movie forgets he has X-ray vision. There's no reason for him not to know Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Wait, what other powers does Superman have?
Yeah, he has X-ray vision, the whole freeze breath. They do use his heat vision a lot, and well, but yeah, it's super fast, and it's like that. That's the thing. It's like you could use those powers in a creative way to like make more interesting fight choreography, but they don't. And also with because with the X-ray vision, you could have done more where it's just like, oh, he sees Batman, knows he's Bruce Wayne, and then he can go confront him as Clark Kent.
That actually would have been awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, if you're only gonna have one fight between the two of them anyway, might as well like do other stuff for them to mess with each other. Because also this movie doesn't let him be Clark Kent enough.
Okay, yeah, I agree. This movie sucks because it doesn't have that. Yeah, let's get into three things.
Yeah, all right. So now it's time for our concession. This is where I give three things I like, and Chris gives three things she doesn't like.
Number one, they didn't include everything Belton just said. That would have been way cooler. Yeah.
Yeah. My first concession. The battle with General Zod from Bruce Wayne's perspective was a really great way to establish everything in the movie, and the scene was done very, very well. I wish it was the first scene of the movie because we did not need to see the Wayne parents die again.
Yeah. That was their way of saying you're not getting another Batman. You've had 19 in the past 10 years.
Yeah, no, the only thing is like because like they eventually do make a Flash movie that's like that's a Flashpoint movie where there's like alternate versions, and in the classic storyline of that, it's Bruce Wayne who dies, and his father Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. They cast a big name actor, Jeffrey D. Morgan, as his dad in that scene. So everyone thought that's all right. That scene is only there to set up a Flashpoint movie, and then they end up not even using him for the Flash movie.
Well, that Flash movie was such a mess.
Yeah.
You could probably cut 15 minutes out of this movie. It was a little long.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of brooding stares. And like, you could have also, I don't even remember if there was a lot of slow-mo, but I just bet on it that you could cut a lot of the slow-mo out.
I feel like there was less slow-mo than a standard Zack Snyder movie, but I feel like that's something we can just always throw at a Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah, they were slow-moing down the stairs once, so it can go out there.
My next concession, despite everything I said about the no-kill rule, the Batman warehouse scene was so good.
Yeah, it's sick. I like violent killing Batman. I know it goes against the character, but it's just awesome.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Out of like all the live action Batmans, I think like Ben Affleck's Batman gives the best just straight up fight scenes.
Also, it feels like the most honest, where like in The Dark Knight, Batman will be like, I don't kill people. And then he will, from a like 15-foot drop an elbow straight onto someone's neck. And they're like, unconscious. It's like, no, that guy's dead. He's very clearly dead. You snapped his neck when you dropped 800 pounds from 20 feet in the air on top of him. Like, that's nonsense. Like, it's honest. They're dead. We're just going to say they're dead instead of pretending that, like, an anvil dropped from a building onto a kid isn't going to kill him.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, because, like, Batman exists in comics and cartoons so much. It's like, people forget you're applying that cartoon logic to live action.
Yeah. I don't know if Wonder Woman needed to be in the movie. I know they're setting up Justice League, but I almost think if you took all of Wonder Woman's time and gave it to Batman and Superman, it'd be more interesting.
I actually thought they brought in Wonder Woman pretty well. Granted, she was all over the marketing. I think it would have been cooler if she wasn't, and that was something more unexpected. But like I thought, because she started out as just this like mysterious woman that like we don't really know, and then she has a full unveiling as Wonder Woman with the guitar riff that's like awesome. All right.
Oh, she wasn't as like I found Gal Gadot to be distracting as Wonder Woman in Wonder Woman 1984, and she just seemed like a regular person in this movie.
Yeah.
I think I just looked at her less, but like, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like that's what they were going for. All right. My last concession. Despite everything I said about like not getting Superman wrong, I do like that they seem to understand that Superman is at its core an immigrant story, especially now that it's like he's trying to do good, but people still find him suspicious. It's something that like even back in 2016 when this came out, and now like it's something that's very current and relevant. Because I believe in Man of Steel there is an actual part where they refer to him as a refugee.
Yeah. You want to finish this bad boy off?
Yep.
We've almost been talking for as long as Batman versus Superman. I think Zack Snyder directed this episode.
Yeah. All right, now it's time for our closing statements. I'll go first. While this is admittedly a decent Batman story, the Superman side falls so hard it drags the whole film down to the bottom of the bargain bin with it. We have another Snyder classic that prioritizes what 14-year-old boys find cool over a good story, failing to understand its source material. This film drags on just to serve Snyder's ego. I give this snorable kryptonite powder.
Edgy Superman versus Batman stands out as a grim brutalist obelisk amongst the highly saturated superhero movies of this era. I hate to say this, but this is Dawn of the Dead quality work from Snyder. I give it 8 out of 10 brooding stares over the landscape of a city in chaos.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Film versus Movie. I'm Belton Delane Facey.
My name's Chris Schur.
And we will see you all next time.